Captain Jake Morrison pressed his face against the viewing window of his small exploration ship. His breath made fog on the cold glass as he stared at something impossible. Floating in the darkness of space between two distant stars was a ship, unlike anything he had ever seen. The vessel was huge. Jake's computer said it was 3 kilometers long and nearly 1 kilometer wide. That made it bigger than most space stations back on Earth. But size was not what made Jake's hands shake as he reached for his communication device. The ship looked alive. Its hull was not made of metal or plastic like normal spacecraft. Instead, it seemed to be made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue and green lights. These lights moved slowly across the surface like blood flowing through veins. Parts of the ship curved and twisted in ways that reminded Jake of sea creatures from Earth's deep oceans. Lisa, Ryan, Amy, Jake called to his 3 crew members. You need to see this. Lisa Park floated over from the engine room where she had been working. She was the best engineer Jake knew, able to fix anything with spare parts and determination. Her eyes went wide when she saw the alien ship. Holy cow, she whispered. What is that thing? Dr. Ryan Cole pushed off from his research station and joined them at the window. As the team's expert on alien life, he had seen strange things before. But nothing like this. It's beautiful, Ryan said quietly. Look how the lights pulse. It's almost like it's breathing. Amy White was already at her communication station, scanning the ship with every sensor their small vessel had. As their communication specialist, she knew 17 different alien languages and had talked to species from across the galaxy. I'm Ida, getting no response to any of our signals, Amy reported. But Jake, the energy readings from that ship are off the charts. Whatever powers that thing is more advanced than anything in our databases. Jake nodded slowly. He knew why they were here. 3 weeks ago, the Galactic Council had sent him an urgent message. A mysterious ship had appeared in this empty region of space. The Council had already sent their best teams to investigate it. First came the Zephyrians with their floating brain ships and mind-reading technology. They were known across the galaxy for their ability to communicate with any thinking being. They had approached the mysterious vessel with confidence. They left after 2 days, confused and angry. Their report to the Council was brief. The ship ignores all attempts at mental contact. It shows no interest in communication. Next came the Kalthak, a species that looked like giant insects, but were actually brilliant scientists. They brought equipment that could scan and analyze any type of biology. If the ship was alive, they would understand it. The Kalthak spent 4 days trying every test they knew. Their final report was even shorter than the Zephyrians. Unknown biological processes detected. Ship refuses all contact. Possibly hostile. Then, the Vorthan Empire sent their flagship, a massive war vessel filled with the most advanced artificial intelligence in the galaxy. The Vorthans were proud of their technology and certain they could solve any puzzle. They lasted 6 days before giving up. Their AI system simply could not connect with whatever intelligence might be controlling the alien ship. After that, 12 more species tried. The crystalline Nixari brought their quantum computers. The energy beings called the Flux attempted to communicate through pure thought. The ancient keepers, who had been exploring space for over 10,000 years, used knowledge and wisdom accumulated across centuries. All failed. Each species had returned to the Galactic Council with the same message. The ship was beyond their understanding. Some called it dangerous. Others said it was broken or dead. A few suggested it should be destroyed before it could pose a threat to galactic peace. But the Council had rules. Every species that belonged to their organization deserved a chance to try. Humanity was the newest member, having joined only 50 years ago after developing faster-than-light travel. Most of the older species considered humans to be primitive children playing with toys they barely understood. Still, rules were rules. Humanity would get their turn. Jake had volunteered immediately when Earth Command asked for a captain willing to investigate the mysterious ship. He was not the most experienced captain in the human fleet. He had never commanded a large warship or led any famous missions. But he was curious about the universe and always treated other species with respect. His crew was small but skilled. Lisa could keep any engine running even when it should have broken down years ago. Ryan knew more about alien biology than most humans, and approached every new discovery with wonder instead of fear. Amy had a gift for languages and could make friends with almost anyone, no matter how different they were. Together, they had spent 2 weeks traveling to reach this distant location. Now they floated in space, staring at the most mysterious object any of them had ever seen. "So what's our plan?" Lisa asked. She was always practical and ready to get to work. Jake looked at his crew. 3 people he trusted completely. 3 friends who had chosen to come with him on this mission even though they knew it might be dangerous. "We do what we always do," Jake said with a small smile. "We go say hello and see if anyone wants to talk." Ryan laughed. 17 different species with technology far beyond ours couldn't make contact with that thing. "What makes you think we can succeed where they failed?" Jake shrugged. "Maybe we can't, but maybe they were trying too hard to be impressive. Sometimes the simple approach works best." Amy was already preparing their small shuttle for departure. "I'm loading our basic translation software and the standard first contact protocols. Nothing fancy." Lisa gathered her tools. "I'll bring repair equipment in case they need help with something. You never know." Jake took one more look at the mysterious ship floating in the darkness. Its lights pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. For just a moment, he could have sworn those lights pulsed a little faster when his shuttle's engine started up. "All right, team," Jake said as they climbed into their shuttle. "Let's go introduce ourselves." None of them knew they were about to make history. None of them realized that this moment would change everything humanity thought it knew about their place among the stars. They were just 4 people in a small shuttle, approaching the unknown with curiosity and hope. The mysterious ship waited in the darkness, its lights pulsing gently as the human shuttle drew closer. Jake guided their shuttle toward the massive alien ship. As they got closer, the crystalline hull seemed to shimmer and change colors. The pulsing lights grew brighter, creating patterns that looked almost like writing across the surface. "Jake," Amy said from her communication station, "I'm getting some kind of response. Not through our radios, but something else. It's like the ship is scanning us." Lisa checked her instruments. "Whatever it's using to scan us is incredibly gentle. My sensors can barely detect it. Most species would use much stronger scans." Ryan pressed his face against the shuttle window. "Look at those patterns on the hull. They're changing as we approach. It's definitely reacting to our presence." Jake slowed their shuttle as they neared the alien vessel. He had approached many ships during his career, but this felt different. Instead of looking for docking ports or airlocks, he simply waited to see what would happen. The ship seemed to be studying them as much as they were studying it. The light patterns shifted and flowed, creating new designs that reminded Jake of artwork rather than technology. After several minutes, a section of the hull began to glow more brightly. "There," Lisa pointed. "Something's happening." The glowing section of hull simply opened, not like a door or airlock, but like the ship's surface had become liquid and was inviting them inside. There was no violent rush of air or dangerous pressure change. The opening was perfectly calm and safe. "That's impossible," Ryan muttered. "There should be atmosphere loss, pressure equalization, something. It's like the ship is controlling the very nature of space around it." Jake felt a strange sensation, almost like someone was gently touching his mind. It was not frightening or invasive. Instead, it felt curious and welcoming. He found himself guiding the shuttle toward the opening without really thinking about it. "Jake," Amy said softly, "are you feeling that too?" "Feeling what?" Lisa asked. "Like someone is saying hello without using words," Jake replied. Their shuttle slipped through the opening and into the alien ship. The moment they were inside, the hull sealed behind them with no sound or vibration. Lights came on around them, revealing a docking bay that was nothing like anything they had ever seen. The walls curved and flowed like they were inside a living creature. Soft lights moved along the surfaces in gentle waves. The air that filled the space smelled clean and fresh with a hint of something like flowers. Jake turned off their shuttle engines and looked at his crew. "Everyone ready?" They put on their spacesuits, not because the air seemed dangerous, but because it was standard procedure. As they prepared to leave the shuttle, Jake felt that gentle touch in his mind again. This time it seemed to be asking permission. "I think it wants to talk to us," Jake said. "Really talk, not just through radios." Amy nodded. "I'm feeling it too. It's like someone knocking politely on a door." Jake made a decision that would change everything. Instead of trying to block the mental contact like most species would, he relaxed his mind and allowed the connection to form. The moment he did, a voice spoke inside his head. It was clearly female, warm and musical, with a sound like wind chimes mixed with distant singing. "Finally," the voice said, and Jake could hear relief and joy in it. "A species that does not try to cut me open first." Jake nearly fell over in surprise. Lisa grabbed his arm to steady him. "Jake, what's wrong?" "She's talking to me," Jake whispered. "The ship is alive and she's talking to me." "She?" Ryan asked. The voice spoke again, this time somehow including all 4 humans in the conversation. "Yes, I am female, though your language does not have proper words for what I am. My name is Astra. I have been waiting here for someone like you for a very long time." Amy's jaw dropped open inside her helmet. "How are you doing this? How are you speaking in our minds?" "The same way you speak with your mouths," Astra replied with what sounded like gentle laughter. "It is simply communication. Your species uses sound waves. I use thought waves. Both carry meaning from one mind to another." Lisa looked around the docking bay with new understanding. "You're not just a ship, you're alive." "I am both and neither," Astra said. "I am what your scientists might call a biotechnological hybrid, though that term is far too simple. I think, I feel, I dream. I also travel between stars and process information faster than your computers. I am myself." Jake felt a sense of wonder wash over him. "How long have you been waiting here?" 3,217 of your years," Astra replied. "I have watched species after species approach me. Each one came with the same intentions. They wanted to study me, control me, take me apart to learn my secrets or use me as a weapon." Ryan's scientific mind was racing. "But we didn't approach you like that." "No," Astra said, and Jake could hear warmth in her mental voice. "You approached me like I was someone you wanted to meet, not something you wanted to own. You asked permission before trying to connect with my mind. You waited for me to invite you inside rather than forcing your way in." Jake began to understand. "The other species failed because they treated you like an object instead of a person." "Exactly," Astra said. "The Zephyrians tried to add my consciousness to their collective mind without asking. The Kalthak wanted to harvest my biological components. The Vorthans attempted to reprogram my thoughts to serve their empire. All of them saw me as something to be possessed rather than someone to communicate with." Amy was recording everything on her equipment. "But why did you choose to reveal yourself to us? What makes humans different?" Jake felt Astra's attention focus on him specifically. The connection between them grew stronger, and he began to sense emotions that were not his own. Loneliness that had lasted for thousands of years. Hope that had nearly died but was now growing bright again. And something else. Something that felt like recognition. "Because your species has something the others have lost or never possessed," Astra explained. "You have the ability to see others as equals rather than as tools or threats. You approach the unknown with curiosity instead of fear or greed." The docking bay around them began to change. Walls became transparent, revealing corridors that stretched deeper into the ship. Each passage glowed with the same gentle lights they had seen on the hull. "Come," Astra said. "Let me show you who I really am. Let me show you why I have been waiting so long for someone like Captain Jake Morrison and his crew." Jake looked at his 3 friends. Lisa's eyes were bright with excitement. Ryan was practically vibrating with scientific curiosity. Amy was already working on ways to improve their communication with their new friend. Together, they stepped out of their shuttle and into the most advanced ship in the galaxy. None of them knew that their simple act of treating Astra with respect and kindness was about to change the fate of every species in known space. Astra's lights pulsed happily around them as she began to share secrets that had been hidden for over 3,000 years. Jake and his crew followed Astra's glowing corridors deeper into her body. The walls around them seemed to breathe gently, and the floor felt warm beneath their feet, even through their spacesuits. Everything was alive and welcoming. "This is incredible," Lisa whispered as she watched the walls change color in response to her voice. "It's like she's happy we're here." "I am happy," Astra's voice replied in their minds. "I have been alone for so very long. Having friends aboard feels wonderful." Ryan stopped to examine what looked like a control panel, but when he reached toward it, the surface changed to show pictures instead of buttons. The images seemed to be telling a story about Astra's past. "You don't need to touch anything," Astra explained. "I can sense what you want to know and show you directly. Your friend Ryan is curious about my history." The walls around them became like windows showing scenes from long ago. Jake saw a beautiful planet with purple skies and silver oceans. Strange beings that looked like they were made of light were building something in space above their world. "My creators," Astra said softly. "They called themselves the architects. They were very old and very wise. They had learned to live as pure energy, no longer needing physical bodies." Amy watched in amazement as the images showed the architects working together to create Astra. "Why did they make you?" "They were leaving this galaxy to explore higher dimensions of reality," Astra explained. "But they wanted to leave gifts behind for younger species who might someday be ready to join them." The images changed to show many ships like Astra spreading across the galaxy. Some landed on planets, others hid in asteroid fields or empty space. All of them were waiting. "We were tests and teachers," Astra continued. "Each of us was sent to wait for a species that showed the right qualities. Wisdom instead of greed, cooperation instead of conquest, respect instead of domination." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "How many species have you tested?" "In my 3,000 years of waiting, I have been approached by 42 different species," Astra said. The walls showed images of all the aliens who had tried to claim her. Some came with weapons, some came with chains and cages, others brought tools to cut me apart and study my pieces. Lisa saw the pain in those memories. "That must have been terrible for you." "It was lonely," Astra admitted. "Each time a new species found me, I hoped they might be the ones. Each time I was disappointed. The Zephyrians came closest to success, but even they saw me as something to be absorbed rather than someone to befriend." The corridor they were walking through opened into a vast chamber that took Jake's breath away. The room was filled with what looked like stars, but he realized they were actually displays showing information about thousands of different worlds and species. "This is my memory center," Astra explained. "I have been observing and learning about every species in this
galaxy.
I know their histories, their cultures, their dreams and fears." Ryan stared at the displays in wonder. "You've been watching all of us?" "Not spying," Astra said quickly. "Observing, learning, trying to understand which species might eventually grow wise enough to be worthy partners." Amy pointed to a small display that showed Earth. "What did you learn about humans?" The display grew larger, showing scenes from human history. Jake saw wars and peace treaties, art and music, acts of kindness, and moments of cruelty. But something was different about how the scenes were arranged. "Your species is young," Astra said. "Compared to most others in the galaxy, humans have barely begun to explore space. But you have something special." "What's that?" Jake asked. "You learn from your mistakes," Astra replied. "Most species, when they gain power, use it to control others. But humans often choose to help instead. You have wars, yes, but you also have people who risk their lives to save strangers. You create beautiful things not for profit, but simply because beauty matters to you." The display showed human doctors helping alien refugees, human teachers sharing knowledge freely with other species, human artists creating works that moved beings across the galaxy to tears. "But that's not the most important thing," Astra continued. "The most important thing is how you treat those who are different from you." The scene changed to show Jake's own career. His first meeting with the insect-like Calthac, where he had offered food instead of demanding information. His negotiations with the energy beings called the flux, where he had dimmed the lights in the room because bright light hurt them. Dozens of small moments where Jake had chosen kindness over advantage. You see others as people, not tools, Astra said. Even when they look nothing like you. Even when they can't offer you anything in return. This is very rare in the galaxy. Jake felt embarrassed seeing his own actions displayed like this. I was just being polite. Exactly, Astra said, and Jake could hear her smile in the word. Politeness, respect, kindness given freely. These are the signs of a species ready to grow beyond their current limitations. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout Astra's body. The peaceful displays disappeared, replaced by images of space around them. Jake could see ships approaching from multiple directions. What's happening? Lisa asked. The other species have learned of our contact, Astra said, and now her voice carried worry. Several of them are coming here together. They do not want humans to have what they could not obtain. Amy counted the approaching ships on the displays. I see vessels from 6 different species. That's a lot of firepower coming our way. Jake looked at the massive fleet heading toward them. Forthan warships with their angular black hulls, Zephyrian mine ships that looked like floating brains, Calthak biovessels covered in spikes and claws, others he didn't recognize. They're coming to take you away from us, Jake realized. They will try, Astra agreed. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. Many species are angry that humans succeeded where they failed. Some are demanding that I be turned over to more qualified civilizations. Ryan looked worried. Can they force you to go with them? They can try to capture me, Astra said. But Jake, I need you to understand something important. I did not choose humans by accident. I did not choose you because you were the last species to try. I chose you because I have been waiting specifically for your species to find me. Jake felt the mental connection between them grow stronger. What do you mean? The architects left instructions in my core programming, Astra explained. I was told to wait for a species that approached with open hands instead of closed fists. Species that asked questions instead of making demands. A species that saw potential allies in the unknown, rather than threats to be destroyed. The approaching fleet was getting closer. Jake could see weapon systems charging on several of the ships. The test was never about technology or intelligence, Astra continued. It was about character, about the kind of people a species chooses to be when they have the choice between helping and hurting. Jake looked at his crew. 3 friends who had volunteered for a dangerous mission not for glory or profit, but out of simple curiosity about the universe. 3 people who had approached an unknown alien intelligence with respect and wonder. So what happens now? Jake asked. Now we find out if humanity is truly ready for what the architects wanted to give them, Astra replied, and we discover if the rest of the galaxy is ready to accept that sometimes the newest species can teach the oldest ones something about wisdom. The fleet of alien ships moved into attack positions around them, and Jake realized that their simple act of making friends was about to trigger the biggest crisis in galactic history. The alien fleet surrounded Astra in a perfect circle. Jake counted 37 ships from 6 different species, all with their weapons pointed at them. The largest vessel was a Vorthan battlecruiser that looked like a black metal mountain, floating in space. They're demanding we surrender, Amy reported from her communication station. They want us to hand over Astra immediately. Jake stood in Astra's command center, watching the displays that showed every angle of the approaching threat. His crew was scared, but they stayed calm and ready to help however they could. What can we do against all those ships? Lisa asked, quietly. She had been studying Astra's systems and knew the ship was incredibly advanced, but 37 warships seemed impossible to fight. We don't fight them, Jake said firmly. That's not who we are. Then what do we do? Ryan asked. They're not going to just leave us alone. Astra's voice filled the command center, calm despite the danger surrounding them. Jake is right. Violence is not the answer. The architects built me with capabilities your enemies cannot imagine. But using force would prove we are no different from them. Through their mental connection, Jake could feel Astra's power. She could move faster than light, bend space around herself, and generate energy that could destroy planets. But she held back, just as Jake would have. Incoming transmission, Amy announced. It's Admiral Vex of the Vorthan Empire. The main display showed a creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and an octopus. Admiral Vex had cold yellow eyes and spoke in a voice like grinding metal. Human vessel, you will release the artifact immediately, Admiral Vex commanded. Your primitive species has no right to possess technology beyond your understanding. Jake stepped forward calmly. Hello, Admiral Vex. The ship we're on is not an artifact. Her name is Astra, and she's a living being who chose to speak with us. Lies, Admiral Vex hissed. That vessel is ancient technology. It belongs to whoever can properly utilize its capabilities. Behind Admiral Vex, Jake could see other alien commanders on the screen. Commander Ithak of the Zephyrians with his giant brainhead. General Kullax of the Kalthak with her insect-like compound eyes. All of them looked angry and determined. You have 1 minute to comply, Admiral Vex continued, or we will take the vessel by force. Jake looked at his crew. Lisa was working frantically at her station, trying to understand Astra's defensive systems. Ryan was analyzing the enemy ships, looking for weaknesses. Amy was preparing emergency communications to Earth Command. Astra, Jake said quietly, what did the architects want you to do in a situation like this? They wanted me to teach, Astra replied, not through words but through demonstration. 30 seconds, Admiral Vex announced. Jake made his decision. Astra, can you open communication channels to every ship in that fleet? Not just to their commanders, but to every single person aboard those vessels? Yes, Astra said, understanding immediately what Jake intended. Are you sure about this? I'm sure, Jake said. Sometimes the best way to win a fight is to help your enemies understand they don't really want to fight at all. Time is up, Admiral Vex declared. All ships, prepare to fire. At that moment, Astra did something none of the alien species expected. Instead of raising shields or charging weapons, she opened her mind to every single being in the attacking fleet. Suddenly, 37 ships containing thousands of alien crew members experienced something they had never felt before. Through Astra's consciousness, they felt what it was like to be approached with friendship instead of greed. They experienced Jake's genuine curiosity when he first saw Astra. They felt Lisa's excitement at learning new things. They shared Ryan's wonder at discovering life in unexpected forms. They experienced Amy's joy at making a new friend. But most importantly, they felt Astra's loneliness during 3,000 years of waiting. They experienced her hope each time a new species approached, and her sadness when each one proved to care only about power and control. The effect was immediate and powerful. On ship after ship, weapons powered down without orders from the commanders. Crew members stopped following attack procedures and started asking questions. What's happening? Admiral Vex demanded, as his own crew began refusing his commands. Your people are learning what it feels like to be treated with respect, Jake said calmly. They're experiencing what Astra experienced when we approached her as a friend instead of trying to capture her. Through the communication channels, Jake could hear conversations breaking out on dozens of ships. Crew members were talking to each other about what they had just felt. Many were questioning why they had come here with weapons instead of open minds. Commander Ithak of the Zephyrians was the first to speak up. Admiral Vex, my crew is telling me we should reconsider our approach. Perhaps the humans have discovered something we missed. Impossible, Admiral Vex snapped. They are primitives who stumbled onto technology they don't understand. But General Kalksax of the Kalthak was nodding slowly with her insect head. My science officers are reporting that the ship's consciousness shows no signs of coercion or trickery. The humans appear to have formed a genuine partnership. One by one, ships in the fleet began standing down. Their crews had experienced something none of their species had felt in centuries, what it was like to approach another being with pure curiosity and respect. This is mutiny, Admiral Vex declared. I order all ships to resume attack positions." "No," came a voice from his own ship. It was his second in command, a younger Vorthan named Zach. "Admiral, with respect, I think we need to listen to what the ship is trying to tell us." Jake watched in amazement as the hostile fleet transformed into something else entirely. Ships that had come to capture Astra were now requesting permission to communicate with her directly. Crews that had been ready to fight were instead asking questions about partnership and cooperation. "Astra," Jake said, "show them what the architects really wanted." The space around the fleet filled with visions of what the galaxy could become. Astra showed them images of species working together, instead of competing. She showed them civilizations that shared knowledge freely rather than hoarding it. She showed them a future where wisdom mattered more than weapons. Admiral Vex's face went pale as he realized what his crew was seeing. "Stop this immediately. You're filling their heads with impossible dreams." "Not dreams," Jake said firmly. "Possibilities. The architects didn't leave Astra here to make one species more powerful than others. They left her here to teach all species how to become better than they currently are." Ryan stepped forward, his scientist mind racing with new understanding. "That's why the test was about character, not technology. The architects wanted to find species ready to help others grow, not species looking to dominate others." Lisa looked up from her station with excitement. "Jake, I'm detecting other signals. Astra isn't the only one. There are more ships like her hidden throughout the galaxy, and they're all starting to activate." Amy's communication board lit up with incoming messages from across space. "I'm getting signals from Earth, from the Galactic Council, from dozens of species. Everyone wants to know what's happening here." Jake realized that their simple act of friendship had triggered something much bigger than they had imagined. The galaxy was about to change in ways no one had expected. "Admiral Vex," Jake said, turning back to the main screen. "You came here to take something by force. But what if instead we offered to share something freely? What if instead of fighting overpower, we worked together to become something better?" The Vorthon admiral stared at Jake with his cold yellow eyes. Around him, his own crew was nodding and whispering among themselves. The moment of decision had arrived, and it would determine the future of every species in the galaxy. Admiral Vex stared at Jake through the communication screen. His yellow eyes were filled with anger, but Jake could see something else there too. Doubt. Around the Admiral, his own crew members were talking quietly among themselves, their voices growing louder with each passing moment. "Sir," came a voice from somewhere on the Vorthan bridge. "Engineering is reporting strange energy readings throughout the galaxy. Multiple sources are awakening simultaneously." Jake felt Astra's excitement through their mental connection. "It's beginning," she said to him privately. "The other gifts are responding. My awakening has triggered theirs." Through the main display, Jake watched as points of light appeared across the star map. Dozens of them scattered throughout the galaxy. Each one was another ship like Astra, another teacher left behind by the architects, now awakening after thousands of years of waiting. "What is this?" Admiral Vex demanded, but his voice was less commanding than before. Amy's communication board was going crazy with incoming signals. "Jake, I'm getting reports from everywhere. Ships are appearing near Earth, near the Zephyrian homeworld, near Caltech space. They're all trying to communicate." Lisa looked up from her station with wide eyes. "The energy signatures are identical to Astra's. There are 43 more ships out there, all coming online at the same time." Dr. Ryan was studying the pattern of awakening ships on the display. "They're positioned near the homeworlds of every major species in the galaxy. The architects planned this." Astra's voice filled the command center, but now she was speaking not just to Jake's crew but to every ship in the surrounding fleet. "For thousands of years my siblings and I have waited. Each of us was assigned to watch a different species, to learn about them, to wait for the right moment." Commander Ethak of the Zephyrians spoke up from his ship. "You've been watching us all this time?" "Watching, learning, hoping," Astra replied. "We were not spies. We were teachers waiting for students ready to learn. The architects knew that some species would develop wisdom before others. They designed us to activate when the first worthy species was found. Jake understood. Humanity wasn't just being tested, we were being used as a key to unlock something for everyone. Exactly, Astra said. Your species proved that it was possible for young civilizations to choose cooperation over conquest. This proof was needed before my siblings could reveal themselves to their assigned species. On the communication screen, Admiral Vex was getting reports from his own homeworld. Sir, a massive vessel has appeared in orbit around Vorthan Prime. It's requesting peaceful contact with our leadership. Similar reports were coming in from every ship in the fleet. Each species was dealing with the sudden appearance of an architect ship near their most important worlds. General Kullax of the Kalthak was the first to understand the full implications. These ships have been waiting for us to prove we could be trusted with their knowledge, but we failed our individual tests. Not failed, Jake said firmly. You just needed a different example to follow. The architects knew this might happen. That's why they designed the system to activate all at once when any one species succeeded. Astra projected new images around the fleet. They showed what the galaxy could become if all species worked together. Cities that floated in space, powered by technology that worked with nature instead of against it. Ships that could travel not just between stars, but between dimensions. Knowledge shared freely among all thinking beings. This is what the architects achieved, Astra explained. They transcended physical existence by learning to work together perfectly. They left us here to help younger species reach the same level of cooperation and wisdom. Young Zach, Admiral Vex's second-in-command, spoke up from the Vorthan bridge. Admiral, perhaps we've been thinking about this wrong. Instead of trying to take this ship by force, maybe we should be asking what we can learn from it. Jake saw the moment when everything changed. Admiral Vex's angry expression slowly transformed into something else. Not defeat, but understanding. The old admiral was finally seeing the situation clearly. You're saying that by approaching with friendship, instead of force, the humans unlocked gifts that were meant for all of us? Admiral Vex asked. Yes, Jake replied simply. And now those gifts are available to everyone who's willing to accept them in the right spirit. Over the next hour, Jake watched as the greatest transformation in galactic history began to unfold. The hostile fleet became a gathering of friends. Ships that had come to fight instead began sharing stories and knowledge. Commander Ethak shared the Zephyrian ship's encounter with their assigned architect vessel. The ship had greeted them warmly and immediately begun teaching advanced techniques for mental communication and peaceful problem-solving. General Kalek X reported that the Kalthak ship was offering to help her people develop biotechnology that could heal entire planets damaged by industrial development. Even Admiral Vex eventually admitted that the Vorthan ship was teaching his people about energy systems that could provide unlimited clean power without any environmental cost. Each ship is customized for its assigned species, Astra explained to the growing council of former enemies. My siblings know exactly what each civilization needs most to grow and develop wisely. Amy was recording everything for Earth Command. Jake, this is incredible. Every species is getting access to technology and knowledge perfectly suited to help them solve their biggest problems. But the most important change was not in the technology being shared. It was in how the different species were talking to each other. The experience of feeling genuine friendship and respect had changed something fundamental in how they saw each other. Lisa noticed it first. Look how they're working together now. The Zephyrians are helping the Kalthak solve a communication problem. The Vorthans are sharing energy readings with everyone else. Ryan was documenting the behavioral changes. It's like they remembered how to be curious instead of suspicious, how to offer help instead of looking for advantage. Jake felt proud of his species, but also humble. Humanity had not succeeded because they were superior to other species. They had succeeded because they had maintained something simple and precious, the ability to treat others with kindness. So what happens now? Jake asked Astra. Now we begin the real journey, Astra replied. The architects left detailed instructions for helping species grow beyond their current limitations. Some of your people will learn to explore higher dimensions of reality. Others will help heal the damage that centuries of competition and conflict have caused. Admiral Vex's voice cut through the celebration. Captain Morrison, I owe you an apology. I came here to take something by force that you freely shared instead. Your approach was wiser than mine. Jake smiled. We all learned something today. Admiral, that's what matters. As the former fleet transformed into the galaxy's first truly cooperative space gathering, Jake realized that humanity's greatest contribution to galactic civilization was not going to be their technology or their intelligence. It was going to be their example of how to approach others with open hearts and minds. The most advanced ship in the galaxy had indeed chosen a human, not because humans were better than other species, but because they had remembered how to be friends first and conquerors never. The age of cooperation had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.